That's all right. Cool.
Sound more manly. It's a good thing.
All right. Well, welcome everyone. This is PnC Dynasty Ep3 of our podcast for the football season, and we got everyone here. We got the normal people, Badger and Smith, and we got two league mate guests today. We have Derek here and Leo as well. If you guys can introduce yourself, introduce your team name, maybe give the key players of them, and then we'll move forward to the questions.
Of course. So I'm Derek. Team name is Pity Party. If you keep up with Smith's articles, I changed my name to Pity Party from Damn Acres before everything went downhill with Cam, because I do love Kyle Pitts and I did not want anybody else to have him. So hopefully that name can stick around for like 15 years. And, besides Kyle, some of my key players are Devontae Adams, CeeDee Lamb, and Terry McLaurin. And I'll stop there and just, before I go on to my next key player, just make it officially known to anybody watching that that is the best wide receiver trio in the league. I feel very happy to have drafted all three of them in our startup draft and subsequently our first rookie draft. And then I have Travis Kelce too. So that's definitely the core of my team. So that'll be it in terms of key players. And anything else?
No, I mean,
I think that's it for the intro, right?
yeah, it's a
Okay.
pretty good one. Leo.
All right, so what's up, everyone? I am Leo. I am the general manager, the owner, the director sportif of Fantasy Football Wizard. I know more about cycling than I do about fantasy football, but somehow I give my money every year to these guys and pretend like I know what I'm doing. My key players are Calvin Ridley, Kyler Murray. I'm looking at my roster right now. I got Jarvis Landry, who's not really a key player, but I'm excited about, and Trevor Lawrence. So 2 quarterbacks right there on that list.
Wow. That's interesting. You're definitely the opposite of what Parker was last episode. He was against QBs, and you got 2 QBs in your top, which is cool.
It'll be trade bait.
For every yin, there's a yang in the league.
Yes, correct.
Exactly.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys for joining in
boy.
today to talk about your teams. I really appreciate it. We want everyone to get on the podcast, kind of talk about the team so that the future episodes, everyone knows who we are referring to. We're going to start this off with kind of going over the trades, one that happened today, which we'll get into, and one that also happened with Leo here, just to go over, as it was a pretty important trade for both of them. So I'm going to lead this off to Badger so he can kind of go over and ask some questions and go over the trades with them.
Yeah, so why don't we start with you, Smith, and Leo before diving into the big news of the day with Derek and Pete. But yesterday we had a trade of Calvin Ridley and Nyheim Hines for Travis Etienne and Chase Claypool. So Smith lands Claypool and Etienne, while Leo, you get the big stud Calvin Ridley. Leo, why don't we start with you? What were you thinking, really, dealing the 1.04 pick this year and then just a second-year wide receiver for ultimately probably Calvin Ridley in the long run here?
Yeah, what the fuck were you thinking? Just kidding.
Yeah, I mean, so I was with that 1.04. I think everyone knew that I was going to be taking a running back. The thing was that the more I did research on the running back class this year, the more I was kind of unimpressed by my options. And so at 1.04, I could have taken, if I really wanted to, I could have taken Chase. And I was heavily considering doing that because I think that Chase will be better than most of the running backs in this class. However, I knew looking at my team, looking at my depth, I needed a running back at that position. It'd be stupid of me not to take that position at that spot. So I went with ETN and then subsequently traded him away, mainly because I knew might as well ride that draft stock value while it's high and see if I can get anything for it. Because at the end of the day, Calvin Ridley is a proven player who is probably going to put up big numbers for me, whereas ETN is still going to have to prove himself. He's technically speaking RB2 on that depth chart right now, and and I also gave up. Who else? I gave up Claypool.
Yep.
Yes.
Is that correct? Yeah, I gave up Claypool too, just because I have Michael Pittman. I have better hopes for Michael Pittman.
He doesn't have a quarterback right now.
That is true, which is a little concerning, but at the same time, I think that Michael Pittman has more long-term longevity value in the league, whereas I think that as we've seen with like Juju, Steelers wide receivers usually have 1 year, 2 years where they pop off and are maybe a top 5 wide receiver in the league, and then they take a drastic nosedive when they find a new player who they can invest in. So in that case, I was a little bit more intrigued by keeping Pittman versus, giving up Claypool. And I thought, Calvin Ridley is a good pickup. Nyheim Hines, with the quarterback going down, I think hopefully will mean that he'll see a little bit more playing time. I know that O-lineman just went down as well, which is not helpful, but I think that'll be, a good bench position for me right now.
We'll see about that. Marlon Mack is back too.
That is true.
Did the new points for median have any impact on this trade and you wanting to go out and get someone who you think could produce more points than the two guys that you had?
I mean, yes. So I think we can everyone who, knows the league and knows my position, knows that I'm not happy about the points for decision that was made. However, at the same time, I like the rule. Like I expressed this to Derek, I expressed this to other people in the league. I like the rule itself. I think it's a good rule. It's just I didn't like how we went about it, how it really realistically should be done for next season, because we voted on it for not even 2 weeks before preseason starts. So that's why I wasn't very happy about it. But at the end of the day, it is what it is. And I recognize that I probably need to start looking for a talent who's going to be putting up big numbers, because the only one that I have really truly is Kyler Murray week over week. And so when Smith came to me with Ridley, at first I was a little hesitant because, I don't know, dealing with Smith feels a little sacrilegious to me. But I thought that at the same time, that gives me two guys on my team who should realistically be putting up, 20-plus points a week, unless, Ridley has a bad week.
And Smith, what made you ultimately want to deal Ridley and try to build this super young team that you appear to be building?
Yeah, I think it just came down to the fact that I did a realistic assessment of where I was, and I'd been thinking about this throughout the offseason that, we weren't quite in the tier of Derek, Vinny, Ryan, but that we were, perhaps in the next tier with Chris, Badger, Andy, Haj. And I hate mediocrity. I want to be either well-positioned for the future or I want to win now. So I ultimately made the decision to go for two guys that I really do believe in. Travis Etienne was the number one running back in this class for me. I would have taken him 101 if I had that pick. And for Chase Claypool, the dude's a freak. He's 6'4". He runs a 4.42. And his best comp per player profiler is Brandon Marshall. So I understand that there are some concerns with the Steelers' passing attack, but he's such a talented receiver that oftentimes talent overcomes a lack of quarterback talent. So even if Big Ben does leave, I feel like he's got such a special skill set that was on full display his rookie year that I think could translate, regardless of who the quarterback is. So, look, giving up Ridley's difficult, but we do have the youngest team by a very healthy margin now. We have what I think is the best depth in the entire league when you account for all of our running backs and wide receivers. We've got guys like Damian Harris and Cortland Sutton on our bench now. I mean, I think that's extremely strong depth. So, if we have injuries, I think we're better positioned than we were before to handle that. So it's as much a focus on the long term as it is still trying to remain competitive this year. And if things break well, like they did last year, using our strong depth to our advantage, that we can make a run in the playoffs.
You think Damian Harris has dynasty relevance?
I know he has dynasty relevance. No, I've seen a lot that he's been working on his receiving game. So if he ends up catching 3 to 4 balls a game, that's game changing for him. So yes, Damian Harris to the moon.
Now, I guess my rebuttal. Wait, can you guys hear me? Did I mute myself?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh, you can. Okay.
Yeah, you're good.
Because I thought I muted. All right. So my question to Leo as well, just to follow up on that. Was this a thought that you were going to be trading your 1.04, like just happened out of the blue, where you were just like, you know what, I need to go out and figure this pick, or was it just kind of something that you've always thought about, but you just figured you would just draft ETN and then just move forward from there?
Yeah, I had been heavily considering it for a while. I think even Smith can attest to it. I think even I was in talks with Derek at one point, and maybe Hodge too. But I know I was in talks with a couple different guys in the league about moving 1.04 before the draft. And nothing was serious. It was mainly people asking me, oh, who do you want for 1.04? And most of the time I was like, look, I'm not taking any trades until before the draft because, I wanted to see who would fall to me. There was a lot of discussion on Pitts. There was a lot of discussion on, where was Najee going to fall? Where is Jamar Chase going to be taken? So I thought that I had a good chance at all 3 running backs, to be completely honest, at 1.04. Maybe not Najee, but still, I had a good chance at Williams and at ETN. So I decided, don't move it until I know what I can get. And then I picked him up, and I just wasn't impressed. I think that Trevor Lawrence, we've all seen Trevor Lawrence play in college. I think he's going to be, I think he'll be a great quarterback on that team. And I think that he's going to be a passing quarterback versus utilizing a running back a lot. I think he'll utilize it in the pass game per se, but at the same time, I wasn't sold, and I thought I could get a lot more value for Calvin Ridley, who's still really, really young. So he's got at least a few more years, and according to most analytics, wide receivers had their best year in year 4. So that's my hope.
He was like 23 when he came into the league, but
and now,
even then,
I don't know if that really matters in terms of what you were saying, but
no.
Now this could be, I guess, a yes or no question or a quick one, but I do know that before Leo, that before the draft and before Badger moved up, you were heavily looking at Williams. Now, if he was someone that did drop to you at 1.04, would he have been any thought to be doing this trade in the first place, or is it because ETN dropped to you that you knew you had to possibly move him because you didn't really like the potential that ETN had and you'd rather Williams?
To be honest, I think that the only person who I wouldn't have moved if there was a perfect world and Najee Harris had landed at 1.04, or I had decided instead to take Jamar Chase, I don't think either of those guys I would have moved. I think Pitts, Williams, or ETN I probably would have moved. just because I wasn't sold on them and their landing spots. Obviously, Pitts is going to be the tight end one at in Atlanta, but it takes years for a good tight end to develop. I mean, we've seen it with all the best. It took Kelsey a few years. It took Gronk a few years. The only guy who came straight out of college and was killing it both on and off the field was Aaron Hernandez. So, I don't think that it's a tight end it was worth it. So unless I was going to get Harris or Jamar Chase, it probably wasn't. It was probably going to get moved eventually.
Pitt's not being worth it at 104, I think it's atrocious comment. But
Also, Williams, Melvin Gordon only has 1 year left on his contract.
Oh,
He's out of there.
Are you a biased Badger because you have
Melvin Gordon is going to the
he is out of
Rams. Melvin Gordon is going to the Rams, which will make this next conversation so much
oh my
better.
God, if I dodged that bullet and then just I don't know, call me king now. But honestly,
that's a good segue.
Hold on.
That's
it's a great segue. There's so many.
Let's
so
break
many
down
segues.
what has been the deal of the day. Probably the deal since the draft that is raising a lot of eyebrows, especially Smith, it appears. But today we had Derek getting from Pete. Derek got Malcolm Brown, Tylan Wallace, a 2023 first, and a 2024 first from Pete for
Both of which are Pete's.
Darrell Henderson, which are Pete's picks. For Darrell Henderson, Zach Moss, Jake Funk, some guy named Jones, Xavier Jones, and a 2023 second round pick. It appears Smith has left the room.
He has left the room.
That's
and
what I expected.
Before Derek does get into this, I do want to put out as the commissioner here that this trade, while it happened while I was at work, I didn't look at anything. I was getting spammed, like just spammed with text messages and seeing I think over 100
But you
notifications.
got text too?
I got text. I got sleeper notifications.
Wow, I really want to know who asked.
So
Who
I
asked
just want
for
to
a
put
veto?
this out there.
I want to
just want
know.
to put this out there that I didn't read one sleeper notification. I didn't care because when I looked at the trade, I knew it wasn't collusion because that's still a way to veto. But that will be something that I'll think about in the future to help with the balance of the league. However, this is the first trade that I did not argue, did not fight about. This is the first trade that I said, you know what, my energy is gone, and I just pushed accept. And I think that just kind of calmed down some people, but left a few of them still very livid. And now we're going to let Derek speak on it.
Man, there's so much to talk about. But I assume you want to know, I guess, the story of the trade. So this.
Why did you deal Henderson? I guess is a first.
Why did I deal
now
Henderson?
you kind of have a running back void a little bit with Akers being out. Henderson, everybody thought was going to be that plug guy for you this year, and you get not really any running backs in return. Maybe you got something else in the works.
Gave away 2 running backs. Yeah.
Derrick Henry.
Yeah. So maybe something else is coming. But what made you want to deal Henderson at this point?
Yeah, so this is total honesty. So you kind of hit the nail on the head with what you're insinuating, because it's been obvious that I'm trying to compete this year. I gave a lot up for Cam Akers. He was obviously the number one trade piece. I can't get over Smith of the offseason for me. Honestly, some of my other trades weren't even that good, but I thought that getting Cam Akers, not only gave me a great chance to win the league this season, but I would be set up for seasons to come because I have young running backs to go along with my. I can't. Every time I look at Smith, I'm laughing. I'm sorry. And obviously, I personally think Sanders and Akers would have, carried my running back room very nicely along with the rest of my team. So when the Akers injury happened, I was trying to flip either Akers or Henderson or both, and I had been working for months to do that. And basically, my goal was to remain a competitor by flipping either Akers or Henderson or both for another running back, and going on to perhaps have an even better roster than I did before Akers got hurt. I think it was going to be a toss-up if you were to compare the two rosters, but there were definitely a couple targets that I guess I can definitely name. Derrick Henry and Joe Mixon were the two targets that I've been after for, I guess, the few weeks that Cam Akers was injured. So when both of those deals fell through or just kind of died out, or we weren't getting anywhere, I didn't do anything. I was offered a deal this afternoon that not only was great in terms of value on my side of the deal.
I'd say.
I think that I'm in a way better position to negotiate for a running back to replace Henderson, because that was my plan all along. So I see this as a risk for me, because right now, if you look at my roster, my running backs are not where I want them to be.
A risk?
But so listen, so what I mean is it's a risk if I can't secure that RB1 to go above Sanders and help me compete this year. If I do, then my plan has worked all along, and honestly, this just made it that much easier for me. So
a question, I guess. How much back and forth was there in this deal? Was it pretty straight up?
No,
I guess Pete initiated this deal. Was there a lot of countering going on, or was it, okay, here's the deal that Pete sent over, you just pressed accept?
Yeah, there was countering, and it was like very, it happened really quickly. We were only talking for like 45 minutes. And
That's it, 45 minutes.
I
First round picks.
yeah. So it didn't originally start as a 2 first-round pick offer.
Okay.
But that's what I asked for, and trying to think.
What?
I'm sorry. Hold on 1 second. I just need to interrupt for a second. If I told Pete that I needed
I know what I wanted to say.
If I told Pete, I'll stop in 2 seconds. If I told Pete that I needed 2 first-round picks for Henderson, he would have roasted the fuck out of my goddamn life. And I'm just gonna stop and let Derek proceed.
Yeah.
Okay, but hold on. This took 45 minutes to debate and negotiate, and then you.
Not to say that we hadn't talked prior about a similar deal, but it went down very quickly. I mean, I had been having negotiations with Smith and Hodge for a long, long time, and in both cases, I was dipping further into my value to secure Henry or Mixon for the season. Could not get a deal that I liked because I was either giving up too much value or making too lateral of a move at running back. So when I got an offer to up my value and then go back to trade for a running back, it made too much sense, and it was kind of too easy.
I mean, that's an easy
what I wanted
accept,
to
right?
say, I mean, it's a smash accept kind of trade,
Yeah.
but if you think about it, the trade itself just a trade and nothing else certainly puts me in a worse position for 2021, which is not what I want to be doing. I want to be competing this season and next season, and basically selling my soul for a championship in those 2 seasons because I had a fallback plan all along, which was the 2023 draft. And so again, I mean, draft picks are straight value that, holds and builds value, until the
As you get
draft.
closer,
So
yeah, agreed.
yeah, I mean, like the draft picks do rise in value, not only keep their value, but that's really the crux of this is I was looking at 2 draft picks to then go trade for a running back, where I'd already given away Henderson in the deal, essentially.
Well,
And
if the price
honestly,
is
like
right,
Henderson
Saquon's
was
available.
I already have his handcuff, so basically that that is a deal that I'd been trying to make all along in Henderson, uh, and no one was really as interested in him as they were in Akers, which I was surprised about. Um, so the last thing I wanted to say is that, I mean, not only do we have proof of this because Ryan sent his trade in the chat, but we know that Pete was going around tossing around first round picks for running backs. We'd known that he was doing this for a week, so somebody was bound to get that deal done.
Yeah,
Hey, well,
I agree.
everybody values players different, as I say pretty much every day in the chat.
Yeah.
So if Pete feels that these guys are going to give him the best chance to win, then that's how he feels. It's not my business to
And
get in there and say we should veto the trade, in my opinion. Everybody values players differently. Leo selected Jordan Love over Joe Burrow last year, so you never know.
Oh,
Now-
wait, Joe Burrow was still on the board when I did that? Oh,
Yes,
man.
yeah, we told you that multiple times, and then I made him confirm it. But
apparently
to
he's
skip
looking
that-
shitty in
Just
practice,
to
though.
skip that real quick, Patrick, if you don't mind, I want to ask Derek his first question. So I guess this really is a question about Pete and his negotiation part. Did he try to get Akers inside of this deal, or just completely forgot
So
about
Pete
him?
was very against Akers. So I had I don't know if you would call it better. I might, because I really do like the player he was trying to send to me. But I had a deal in my inbox from Pete, for like 4 hours while we were hanging out, and that deal. Ever since he took that off the table, I had wanted that deal again and kept asking him, and I was upset about it because I thought I missed out. And that deal included Akers. To answer to talk to your question, that deal included Akers, and the next day he wouldn't do the deal because he said he didn't feel comfortable about his injury. So looks like I'm probably keeping Akers, unless he gets sent for another running back. I know there's still a couple people in the league that are willing to take a chance on him. I'm willing to take a chance on him, and not send him away for peanuts. You guys already know I gave up a ton to get him. I basically gave away TJ Hawkinson, and that's kind of it in my opinion, because I think Kareem Hunt is just not like a great running back to have objectively, but I did like having him, so it was like tough to give him away. So I feel like that trade with Smith, at the best for me, was literally handing him TJ Hawkinson, to get Cam Akers, and look what happened. So I'm not ready to give Cam Akers up for nothing. So I was getting good deals from him from Pete before, but then he felt uncomfortable about the Achilles.
Patrick?
Yeah, Pete. Pete says he's in a win now phase, so if he
And
thinks
yeah,
that
I wanted to say, like,
Anderson's gonna get that.
I really think Pete is a top 6 team. I think
No.
You can't say that.
for this season,
Eric,
I think.
stop it.
I need
Stop
to
it.
step in. I need to step in.
Actually, hold on.
Okay, so
Smith,
let me rephrase. Let me
Wait, actually,
rephrase.
no, Derek, you don't need
I
to
think
rephrase,
Pete could crack the top 6. I think he's a
You
very
don't-
middle of the pack team, but I definitely
Let
think
me-
he could I definitely think he could make the playoffs this year.
So
That's
before-
not even a question.
Before we let
Not even a question.
Before we let Smith go on,
Especially
like
after this deal.
a tantrum here, I do want to say that
Not even a question.
Pete won the championship because of Russell Wilson, because of DeAndre Hopkins, and because of Travis Kelce. I would say Justin Jefferson, but I feel like he had ups and downs, and he wasn't super consistent.
He didn't have an amazing weeks
Exactly.
14,
So-
15, 16.
Yeah, so
Travis Kelce, who Derek now has as well.
yes, so I just want to put that
Yeah.
like
For Darren Waller, though.
Pete did win the championship with 3 key players, and he still holds.
Then I
3
won like 3 or 4 trades with
And-
Pete this offseason.
He does
And he
have
downgraded
3
every position.
He does have 3 key players. I mean, obviously, if you count Justin Jefferson a key player this year, who knows? Obviously, everyone's so high on him because of what he did his rookie season. So say he has 4 key players. He does have the opportunity to obviously make the playoffs because we saw last year that anyone can make it. So really, literally, Dan can make the playoffs this year. We never know. So saying that he's going to make the playoffs is not like it's a hot take in my opinion, but it also anything is possible.
No, it's not. It's not. But what I mean is, I think his roster is good enough to
Decently
finish
put up
5th or
points.
6th
Yeah.
and make the playoffs and make a run if he
If you
he
look
needs
at
to.
it,
He
yes.
still has Russell Wilson. He still has Darren Waller. He still
Yes,
has
yeah,
DeAndre
yeah.
Hopkins. And what I mean is, he replaced Waller for Kelsey. I mean, that's still the same core. I think he has better running backs than he did last year, right?
But
Am
is
I
he-
wrong about that?
No, I don't remember who he
I think he
last
has
year.
better running backs because he's definitely started Ronald Jones all 3 of those weeks, and now, I mean, I don't think Mike Davis is gonna last the whole season and be putting up good numbers late in the season, but I mean, I don't think he did enough to his roster to be like, oh, you're gonna lose the league. I mean,
Yeah.
I think that's ridiculous.
It is very difficult to say that he will be last place. It also is very difficult to
Maybe
say
not
that-
ridiculous. Maybe not
No,
ridiculous.
but I think
yeah.
to be honest, right now, it is very difficult to say who will be in last place. Obviously, people think that it's Dan. People.
It is
say
really
it's
hard
Pete.
because I
But
knew I had to.
If you really look into every single team, they have enough key players on their teams to potentially push them above the last place, especially now with the points for. So, I think that the last place is kind of up for grabs. I really do.
Last place, like
It's
I
up for
mean,
grabs last place.
God forbid. I think it's going to come down to injuries, just like it did for Parker last season.
And that's how it's going to be every single season, I think, because every year you're going to have injuries. Unfortunately, that's just how football works, and everyone's going to get unlucky. Obviously, you got unlucky early, so maybe that clears your unluckiness and helps you.
I think it's rude to insinuate that because there is no scientific justification for early injuries supplanting later injuries. There's absolutely none.
So we've been going on for a half hour real quick. I do want to finish up the trade talk just to move forward, but I do really want to hear what Smith had to say. But also, and I gave Badger this section and this kind of area of the trade, so I do want to let him lead this, and I'll shut up.
No, yeah, I would love to hear Smith's talk or rant.
Hold on, I'm doing something
on the trades here.
Hold
on,
I'm doing something.
He's writing his will.
Keep talking.
While we're waiting on that,
Hey, are you sending a trade over?
No, he's
Okay.
definitely he's definitely writing something and putting it in front of the camera, and it's gonna be.
I mean, honestly,
it's gonna be inverted.
I'm just gonna say something.
No,
Maybe it's the the 3/4 of a beer that I've had, but Smith could be the secondary beneficiary to this deal that I had with Pete today. Because, like I already said, I'm after Mixon, interested at the very least. So
Yeah, I bet you
Never
are.
Just
know.
wait for him to
Mixon-
have 2 more beers and get a good price.
Here we go.
Oh,
Can
it's
you,
gonna
can
be.
you see this?
It's gonna be.
oh, that's
inverted.
No.
that's a great view. Oh, I see that
Do
perfectly.
not see it.
All right.
No, it's
well,
just a
At
white
all.
piece
I'm
of paper.
hoping. I'm hoping. Okay.
Just a
Hold
white
on.
piece of paper.
Get closer.
Can you see that?
It's
No,
it's
you
a white
can't.
piece of.
No.
Yeah, we actually could.
oh.
We
Maybe
actually
keep
could.
it further back.
Try a little bit.
There we go.
Oh,
Yeah.
Something pimp. Yeah.
trade.
That's what you saved
Trade
up for?
pimp. Cool. That's amazing. Now give us your rant
That
real
was
quick.
very
But don't go.
underwhelming.
You have less than 5 minutes because in 5 minutes we'll be at 40. So go ahead. Let me hear it.
Okay. So, I made a comment yesterday, before this trade went down, making a reference to Peter, and sometimes the blind squirrel finds the nut. Gentlemen, the blind squirrel found the nut in fantasy football. Bad process often leads to bad results.
Talk about me.
No. Bad process leads to bad results. Except when you're Pete and it gets in your head and you think you can outsmart everybody. Pete, you just played yourself. You have sacrificed your entire fantasy football career over the production of Darrell Henderson, Xavier Jones, and Jake Funk, who will sit in your taxi squad until he's eventually released. Darrell Henderson, congratulations. He's better than Ronald Jones. Congratulations. I'm so happy for you. You could have very easily gotten Aaron Jones or Derrick Henry for 2 firsts. Even that's a bad trade, but you're getting a star player. I'll accept it. Tell me this, Pete. Are you going to win a single damn game? A single damn game with your running backs being the reason that you won? The answer is no. You're not. You're not going to win a damn game with Darrell Henderson taking 45% of the snaps because he's giving up snaps to Malcolm Brown last year. That's right. Malcolm Brown had more snaps when Darrell Henderson was a starter than Darrell Henderson. Darrell Henderson runs the ball. He does not catch the ball. He is not a good pass catcher. He is a good pass blocker. You know who was a better pass catcher? Malcolm Brown, who, by the way, was in this trade. Malcolm Brown is now the 3rd-string running back in Miami. So you telling me, who won this trade?
Well, hopefully Pete can come on one day and talk
No
about his
one-
team and
Touch you.
No.
No one, including
there is
Pete,
no,
is
there is
saying
no
that.
Let me
convincing.
just rebuttal 2
Oh,
seconds.
hold on. So nobody's saying that. So then why are you trading for the entire Rams backfield when Badger has the eventual Los Angeles Rams starter in Melvin Gordon? What are you going to do?
Hot take.
Can you trade like 7 firsts then?
Hot take. So I do want to add, I know I don't go off fantasy projections, and obviously we're a month away, but I do want to say that Pete is projected to beat Aj, and he's also projected to outscore Smith by 12 points. So
Congratulations.
so if projections actually indicate
and get
wins,
the extra win for league median right now.
and
He
get
would
the
get
extra-
that.
So he
2-0. 2-0 week
he
1.
would go 2-0 based on projections.
Vinny, can I butt in here real quick?
Yeah, go ahead. Have fun. This is a podcast.
All right.
Fantastic.
So we're at the 40-minute mark. For everyone to mark that down right now, because this might be the first time that I completely 1,000% agree with Smith Brickner. I hate this trade. As you all know, I think Darrell Henderson is a terrible running back. I had him on my team. I started him on my team, and he, week after week, did not produce on my team. He is the worst possible pickup for him. And to give 2 first-round picks for a guy who will be irrelevant after 1 year, let alone be irrelevant after halfway through the season, is just blasphemy. So
There is
mark
a-
this down right now. It's
you know the
7:49
part-
on August 4th. I agree with Smith Berkner.
Wow.
You know, the
I'm not
part
gonna get a
that
word in.
absolutely infuriates me is, okay, if you try to make a case that you think Daryl Henderson is an RB2, as stupid and wrong as I think you are, you have at least made your point. This man gets in the group chat and says, I beat you in the championship. Yeah, that's a great excuse. That's a great reason. Get out of here with
So-
Of course, that's what pisses you off.
Oh, yeah,
it
right.
pisses
Okay.
me off.
Yeah.
I'm pissed off more than
I know.
anything.
Yeah.
Of course, that's the worst part.
So we got
You
10
had
minutes.
to be reminded.
I
God.
know. We have 10 minutes until 8. Badger does have to go at 8, so I just kind of want him to get in more, some more words before the end of the podcast. Maybe answer some of the, ask one of these guys some of the questions that he did write down in our notes that we have for all of the owners that we're interviewing, just to get him some more airtime
Do it.
before he heads
Yeah,
out.
no, appreciate it, Finn. I hope Pete, as I said, I hope Pete can come on pretty soon and talk about his team, give us some more detail about that. Maybe him and Smith can have a controlled, constructive conversation.
I just want to say one more thing. Best of BOL. BOL,
right.
Pete.
Okay. Anyways, let's hop over to Leo quick here and just give a quick rundown of his team and ask a question. Leo, you had a lot of draft picks this year. Obviously, you traded one of them in Travis Etienne, but you also drafted Trevor Lawrence, Kenneth Gainwell, and Amari Rogers. What exactly is your expectation for the season, and where do you think your team, with no injuries, it would potentially land?
No injuries. I'd like to think that I'd finish middle of the road, which I think would be, for me, coming from fighting to avoid last place last season after making the also very bad, and I will admit it, very bad, but not nearly as bad as this trade we just discussed, Alvin Kamara trade. I think that finishing middle of the pack or making the playoffs would, whether that be a 6 seed and getting bounced in the first round, that's an accomplishment for me and my team. I'll be happy with that. But yeah, I mean, with the picks here, I was really focusing on. I've collected a lot of picks, as we've all seen, and I'm really focused on building a team that's going to last me for a while and not be a win now team. Just because I think that a win now team is not a good strategy for a dynasty league. I think that a win now team is great for a redraft league, a standard league. That's fine. But in a dynasty league where you're building for the future, you're building for 4 or 5 years in advance, having a guy like Trevor Lawrence. I know I've listened on the podcast. I know you like Kenneth Gainwell. I know you tried to trade for him with me today. So maybe I have the next Alvin Kamara on my team. We don't know. So that's kind of my thought process on, picking up a lot of youth and kind of finding ways to stash them on my team, because I think that in the long run, it will help me, whether that means trade bait, or finding more picks, or whether that means, just finding the next diamond in the rough.
A quick question on that. You, even more so than Derek, have a pretty major gap in the running back, because you have David Montgomery, who is right now the only starter on your running back core. Who, are you expecting things from James Conner and going to plug him in every week? Because Kenneth Gainwell is probably the backup for at least this season. Hines, who really knows, with Marlon Mack and Jonathan Taylor. So are you just hoping for James Conner to be productive? Because I'm way higher on Chase Edmonds than James Conner.
And Leo, before you do answer that, I do want to add to Badger's point that, and also let Badger know if he's not watching the Twitch, that he was talking to Haj in the chat and said, "You never sent me another deal for Henry." So there could be something in the works. Just to put that out there, he may be going for Henry, and Derek is now scared. So you can proceed.
Yeah. So
no need to worry when you have all that draft capital.
You talking to Badger? You said.
But no, I think with my running back situation right now, I'm kind of playing. I don't want to make any assumptions. I mean, we still have to go through preseason. We haven't even seen these guys take a snap of the football with full pads and full contact yet. So I'm not entirely worried. I personally think that James Conner is the better of the two running backs in Arizona, and I think that he will get the majority of the share. David Montgomery, I'm hoping that a new quarterback situation in Chicago will make things a little bit better. And then as for Naheem Hines, and I have a few other randos on my bench here, but Naheem Hines, I'm not in love with. I know that was part of the Calvin Ridley deal. I know I mentioned it earlier. I think that he has a good chance because Carson Wentz went down of seeing more of a share, especially if they don't find a quarterback who they can feel entirely confident plugging in there. But for now, I'm not too worried. Talk to me again, in at the beginning of September when I'm actually, seeing these guys play in NFL games, and then I'll figure it out.
I have one more question. I gotta drop in 5 minutes. But
Yep.
how can you say James Conner is going to be the lead back when he has virtually very little to no receiving ability? And Chase Edmonds has so much more upside than James Conner in that. Just looking at Arizona last year, their running backs
Continuity and familiarity with the
got a
team and
pretty
coaches.
good. They got about 20% of the targets last year, and James Conner probably isn't going to get more than 5% of that share.
I agree to an extent. I think that I don't see Kyler Murray as being I like Kyler Murray. I think he's a great quarterback. I honestly think that Trevor Lawrence will take over my starting spot halfway through the season, just because I think
Lord.
and that might be a hot take, but just because I don't see Kyler Murray with his size being a long-term quarterback in the league. I think he'll have his good years, and I think he'll have his bad years. I personally think that they'll work as a committee, and I think that Chase Edmonds, yes, he has the wide receiving abilities, but I honestly still think that James Conner will see the majority of the running capacity, and James Conner has the breakout ability that not all running backs have to break out of the hole and get some big yards.
And break his ankle. Okay.
Wow.
Also true. He's a little injury prone.
So I do want to just quickly see because
I think it'll be more of a.
Are you gonna?
I think it'll be more of a and don't laugh at me for saying this, but Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt light sort of deal where you're seeing Connor get points late in the game. But anyway,
I see that now. Leo did trade for James Conner, and the person that he did give up is Darrell Henderson. So I'm wondering if he regrets that now.
No,
I got 2 first.
nah, you can't go that far to say it was Leo's fault.
I mean,
No, I don't regret it in the slightest.
I know it was 2 months ago. I was just making a joke.
Even then, even if I had known that Cam Akers was hurt, I still all right, maybe that would change things a little bit, but for the most part, I do not regret that trade in the slightest. I think that it was a smart trade in my sense because I was giving up at the time a running back who, was truly a nothing running back and receiving a running back who has potential to get, as Derek said, those late game scores. And I think that when it comes down to to red zone running plays, they're going to be giving the ball to James Conner more often than they're going to be giving it to Chase Edmonds.
They will actually be giving it to your quarterback, which still benefits you, by the way.
Also true.
He needs to learn to chill because
he's
gonna get smoked.
Yeah, I believe Kyler Murray is the best. Like if you were one-on-one with someone, that man is making you break your ankles.
That is true.
So
Leo, I need to pick up a discussion. I do have to drop a discussion with you about how you think Trevor Lawrence is going to overtake Kyler Murray halfway through the season. But with that being said, I appreciate you boys joining. I continue on here. Vin and Smith, thanks for having me. And
Thanks,
for
Badger.
listening.
Thanks,
course.
Badger.
Thank you, Badger. I appreciate you. All right. Well, with that, I guess you want to build on that.
Do we get to see your beautiful face?
Me? No.
Yes.
You would have to go on the stream to see my face. I can't stream on Discord.
Oh, I thought the problem was 5 people, not 4. My bad.
No. It's just because I'm on Twitch. Yeah. You guys still there? Yeah. Okay.
Oh wait, no, that's an ugly face.
Thank you.
It's a very ugly face.
I'm not even gonna fix my square. So yeah, if Leo, you want to build off that, and then I'll ask you a couple more questions, and then hopefully we can get to Derek. Smith, if you need to drop, you let me know. But I'm willing to go for a little bit longer than an hour.
Yeah, no, I mean, there's not too much that I can build off on. I think I said what I said. It's a hot take. I know it is.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I think that I don't necessarily think that Kyler Murray is going to be a bad quarterback halfway through the season. I don't think that he's going to lose his personal value as a quarterback over the season. I just think that Trevor Lawrence halfway through the season is going to surpass him in being the best quarterback.
Gotcha.
Period.
Okay.
Not as good running, but way better passing.
If you both are good to stay, I'll ask the final question at the end. But now we're gonna move over to Derek. Same question that we're really asked to Leo is basically, what's your expectation for the season? What are you thinking about your team? Do you think you'll do better than you did last year, or maybe similar to what you did last year? What are pieces that you're scared of? Where are you looking to build? Just kind of talk what you're expecting.
Last year, one thing I'd like to get clear on the record for last year is that I did not tank. I was not able to tank. I was not allowed to tank, and I'm not complaining about that, but it was said on the first episode of this podcast that I did tank. That is not true. So next year, I hope to be basically front running, if not in contention for, top in the league. With the points for, I think I'm going to be picking up a win basically every week. And I don't have a first round pick in 2022. So, I'm all in for this year, and I expect to do very well. I definitely expect to make the playoffs, and I'm trying to win the league this year. There is no doubt about that. And really, the only move I need to make is for another running back. And once I do that, anyone could look at my roster and say they like it or don't like it, but I personally love that roster. Once I get that next running back. So whether that happens now or in the middle of the season, I think I'm going to be picking up a win basically 2 out of every 3 weeks with this roster, and hopefully winning my matchups every week. So it's as simple as that. I'm done and ready for the season and expect to do well and win, but I don't think that happens without trading for that running back, which I've been trying to do and have not been able to do that yet. So hopefully that happens. And you know what? If it doesn't happen this season, then hopefully I just make the playoffs. And if I'm not going to win, hopefully I at least make it into the playoffs and go as far as I can, because I don't have that pick in the first round next year. So I don't want Dan, who has my pick, to have a good one. So I'm completely all in for this season, and there will be no thoughts of tanking. While there were thoughts of tanking last year, there will be no thoughts this year.
Now, I know that you are looking to trade for another running back to win this year, and you have been loving the fact that 2023 draft class is supposedly going to be one of the top ones that we've seen in a while, and you have 4 of those first round picks now. So are you going to be touching them to trade to win this year, or are you just going to hold on to them and accept the fact that you own 4, I own 3, so we technically have 7 of the 12 picks in the 2023 draft class, and we can just control it and own it ourselves?
Yeah, I mean, this isn't a team game, so
Yes, it is.
I wouldn't. It's it's not a game where you're supposed to help your league mates. So I mean, I wouldn't think of it
That's
in
not
that way, but I won't. I won't be mad if I won't be mad if I'm not able to trade for a running back because it is what it is, and it's really hard to get one. And I'm not gonna overspend what I think I should spend. I will overspend to get one, but I won't overspend what I think I should just to do that. So if it doesn't happen, I won't be upset. And if I'm able to do that without giving up any 4 of those picks in the 2023 class, that's even better. If if I'm able to secure a running back using anything but that 2023 capital. I obviously have 2 picks in 2024, and I think really just one guy on my bench that I can play around with in OBJ. So it's going to be what it is, but I really have high hopes for being able to contend through the first 6 weeks very well, or perform very well, rather, because I don't have my toughest games until second half of the year. So hopefully what does happen is I get a good deal at the trade deadline. But I'm always willing to pay up for a good trade. So
Awesome.
it's gonna happen. It's gonna happen unless everyone's too stubborn, or unless I somehow shit the bed totally in the first half of the season, and then just try to push for the 7th overall spot so that Dan doesn't have a premium pick next year.
Yeah, I got it. The Pelican. So Smith, do you have any questions for Pelican? Derek. Pelican.
Am I the Pelican or is Smith the Pelican? Where's Pete the Pelican? We could all be fucking Pelicans, bro.
Pelican. Smith,
Honestly,
do you
if
have
we're
a Pelican? Smith, do you have Pelican? Any questions?
Bro, what the fuck is going on?
no, but
Smith, you're on
seriously
mute.
though,
Mute. Come on, bro.
Pelican.
Sorry, I was probably spewing up a lot of curses.
he spent too much time with his feet on his desk. He forgot.
Yeah. Yeah. No. The
Pelican.
person who shall remain nameless, I have shunned. So he will not be getting questions from me.
I mean, I can't imagine why you think you're so special to be able to shun me, but I really only have one idea, so I guess I do know why.
I mean, it makes sense that he's shunning you. You gave up a true Pelican with Darrell Henderson. It's not a surprise. When you have a Pelican that talented, you can't just give it up.
I don't understand this at all.
Parker was in the Twitch chat saying, "At Vinny, try to say the word Pelican 10 times in the next minute. Weave them in the sentence to freak Derek out. Make it."
You did everything, including freak me out, except for making it natural.
yeah. I don't care, Pelican. Derek, I do have a question for you. So it's really not a crazy question, but your quarterbacks are Matt Ryan and Baker Mayfield. Are you going to be putting your full trust into one of those quarterbacks and just starting them completely, no matter the matchup, until the bye week, or are you going to be determining the matchup based on how they're doing if they both stay healthy?
Let me scooch up and listen.
Yes, I definitely am confident in both of them.
Okay.
Specifically, let me describe to you an ideal situation is that, off the bat, as we know, the Falcons defense is no good. That leads to, that directly leads to basically on any team a lot of pass attempts for the offense of that team. They have a new coaching staff, offensive-minded coach in Arthur Smith. I think they're going to be just absolutely gunning the shit out of the ball the first 10, 12, 13 weeks. And then, if anything, I think Matt Ryan would slow down later in the year just because he's not probably going to be competing for a playoff spot. I guess, think about the division. Yeah, no, he's not going to be competing for a playoff spot, and he's going to be getting fatigued. So I think it actually matches up really well with Baker because the team in Cleveland starts passing the ball a normal amount in the last few weeks, or I think they will, like they did last year, if they are kind of comfortable in where they are in terms of gunning for the playoffs. So if they're not comfortable and they have some really tough games, I think actually they don't play they might play the Chiefs in one of the playoff weeks for fantasy, but if they're not playing teams like that where they need to stick to the run game, I think Baker finishes out the year extremely well like he did last year. I mean, he was on a fucking tear the last four weeks, and Baker's only going to get better this year. He's only going to be more comfortable. So I think he's going to be a decent quarterback to start week in, week out, but I'm not even going to do that. I think Matt Ryan is going to be a top 12, at the very least, quarterback for the beginning of the season, if not all the way through week 12 or 13. So, I mean, that would be an ideal situation to not have to rely on anybody else or a trade. So, I mean, I'm not certain that that's going to happen. And that, like I said, is an ideal situation, but I'm definitely comfortable
I got you.
with the quarterback situation.
Now,
And yeah,
just so I guess I'm trying to think. I mean, we're kind of getting towards the end of the podcast. I do ask this question to everyone towards the end of it.
Rizzo just homered again.
What?
Said Rizzo just homered again.
Is this a baseball
I don't
podcast?
even know what that means. Yeah.
You hear that? Is someone
I
talking
don't
about
hear that.
baseball?
I hear Pelicans all the time. So,
Right.
So, my question that I ask everyone towards the end of the podcast, and for both of you guys, is instead of guessing and predicting who you think will win, I bring this segment to who do you think will lose and be punished. As most of the people know here that we do punish our last place team, as well as who's your hot take that you're like, okay, I can see it happening if something were to happen to their players, and that would be your hot take loser. So, I mean, I've said it multiple times. I think, Andy is my hot take loser. He might not respect that, but I feel like if he does have a couple injuries, he will be down bad, especially if he loses Dak Prescott again. And then outside of that, my main loser at this point is kind of up in the air because I think all teams have the possibility of pushing out of the last place. So I'd definitely like to hear from both of you guys what you guys think.
Well, I just want to make one quick comment. Mundy Bundy, who is that exactly?
It doesn't matter. Just answer them.
Right. The answer is yes. It is Pellegrino, plastic bottle.
Oh my God! Shut up!
Shut up. Okay.
All right.
Back to the question, Leo or Derek, whoever wants to take over. Go ahead.
I can take it first. I think my expected loser is Pete. He's down. I feel like he's downgraded almost every bench position he's had. obviously he still has a couple of good players on his starting lineup, but I think he has 0 bench now. So if any of those guys goes down, he's screwed. I know Derek, I think he said that he's a playoff team, which I think is a very, very, very hot take. But no, I think that on a and he's not on here to defend himself anymore, but I think Badger, that's my hot take on if things go seriously wrong for him this season, I think that he, is going to have some problems, and I think it's going to start by stemming from his running back position.
Wow. That is actually a hot take because I could see it because he came 5th, and that was with losing with Barkley. With just losing Barkley, he came 5th. So things definitely have changed with the draft and trades. But I respect that hot take. I definitely do. And
I mean, it's yeah. I mean, no. I mean, I wanted more time because it is such a tough question.
I mean, you can have more time to think about it. I would say right now that Badger is listening, so he does see that you did. He did hear that you just said that about his team, and he's probably.
Well, I see that. I'm not worried.
He probably is hurt a little bit that you would say that behind his back when he wasn't here to defend himself, but it's okay.
I just need to know what Badger's putting aside that he had to leave at 8 o'clock, but he's still watching.
That's personal business. You don't need to question him. He needs you to go, so leave him alone. Skip that question, Derek, when you're ready. This man came on! Badger, are you there?
Oh my god, that's so fun.
Badger. He's loading. Okay, we do not hear his voice yet. He's tuning in. He had to come in to defend himself, which is very interesting. He's probably eating dinner with.
Parker theorizes he's knitting. Oh.
So we did have a serious question from Parker in the chat towards Derek, so maybe this will help delay the process while he thinks as well.
Oh, yeah.
So the question is, he said, serious question. Do you feel like all of your hard work and intelligent management this past offseason is invalidated by this trade? Because you exploited someone and took this trade, you can never be remembered as a winning because of skill.
So let me find out. Do I feel like all my hard work was and intelligent management was invalidated by this trade? I don't think it was invalidated by this trade. I think they definitely live separate of one another. I made a lot of trades this season. I don't even think all of them were great. Actually, Parker, I definitely look back at the Visca for Odell trade and, want that one back, every time I look at it. So I don't think I've had the most efficient offseason, to be honest, but I think I had a good offseason because of the amount of trades I made and the amount I was able to exploit Pete. So I just want the ring, man. I mean, call me whatever you want.
Explode.
Right. So, Badger is having technical difficulties to defend himself, and I do believe that Leo does have to go. So I guess that Leo will just be kind of leaving before Badger can come in and defend himself, which is all right. So before I let Derek answer the final question, I just want to say thank you, Leo. I appreciate you coming in. Appreciate the podcast.
Thank you for having me.
Obviously, we'll have you along during the season, but this is just kind of an introduction type thing, just to ask a couple questions, and then obviously anyone can feel free to join in during the season when we discuss matchups and everything else during the NFL weeks. So thank you again. I appreciate it.
Awesome. Thank you, boys. Have a good one.
All right.
Man.
Now that happened, Derek, who is your kind of like possible hot take for last place while also being, your hot take as well? We've all answered it. You gotta answer it. Don't assume.
I know I have to answer it. I mean, I look at it and I look at a lot. I look at it meaning the roster. I'm gonna call out, and I'm sorry to do it, but uh, a lot of bad news for the start of the season, and I think the necessity for one of two rookie picks to work out, and the necessity for a second year player to really step up, and that'd be the Bus Boys. I think there could be a repeat, although he has a strong starting lineup. I think Jamar Chase needs to work out, and if something happens to George Kittle again, it could be really detrimental, just because George Kittle is pretty much the bright spot of his team besides his running backs. And like I said, people are saying that Jonathan Taylor's going to have a bad start to the season because of Big Q and because of Wentz, but I don't really think that, but who knows? Your bright spot, Parker, is definitely your running back room and George Kittle. So as long as those work out, I don't think the other potential outcomes would affect you. But in terms of coming in last, but I think there's just as big a chance as a bunch of other people, having the same thing happen to them. Dan is coming in last, though, for sure, without a doubt.
Okay, so but
there's no doubt.
Your hot take would be Parker.
That's my hot take one. Yeah, Dan is coming in last.
Parker being a hot take is not it's not too crazy, just because yesterday when we had Parker on, he did say that his expectation for his team is to be between last place and ninth place. So he may be lowballing his team just to be ahead of expectations on the podcast, but he did say that he expected his team to be from 9th to 12th. So
yeah, no, I think he can. I think he could definitely win his week in, week out matchups because of where his strengths are. So yeah, I mean, as long as he's beating other people's running back and tight end rooms throughout the year, I think he's going to be winning a lot more games than what would put him in ninth place.
Yep. Awesome. Do you have any questions for us?
Not week one, though.
Have any questions for us? Anything you want to say before we kind of close this out? Smith as well, because I feel like you've kind of been quiet. That's probably because of the trade.
I'm being shunned, so I mean, I definitely don't have any questions for Smith. I didn't bring any questions for you, Vin,
you
but
you didn't need to bring questions. I was just
yeah,
saying
yeah, I don't. So for sure, I loved answering all these questions and making Smith uncomfortable and upset for the last hour and a half.
Also
So
really gotta pee, so I'm like,
this man's just shaking his legs, gotta piss, doesn't want to talk about the trade, hates everything about this episode right now.
Yep.
This will go down as title name: Smith hates his life today, and or something around that. This man is just leaving.
I'm done.
He's just done. All right, see you later, Smith. Okay, there it is. Yeah.
thank God.
So there goes Smith. We lost Badger. We lost Leo. It's us two. It's kind of interesting because it leaves us with just us, the ones that control the 2023 draft, the ones that people argued that me and you would be 1 and 2 this year as championship and co-championship, second place, I guess, which is kind of cool.
Yeah, until Ryan came in and fucked everything up.
Yeah, right, with Christian McCaffrey. But
I think Ryan could have the biggest downfall of the season, but I don't think he finishes in last place. Like, I think I would have said Ryan, but I think too many too many like key players would need to get straight up
Agreed.
injured for him to end up in last place.
Agreed. Yeah. And then I guess we'll just close it out since everyone left and it's getting, towards that time where it's extending past where we want it to be. But I appreciate you on the podcast answering some questions, going over that trade that happened today, going over your team. Good luck with finding a second or another running back to push you to the playoff, to make you feel a little more comfortable with that push. You definitely have the draft capital. You may not have the running backs to give away on top of the draft capital for that, but maybe someone will bite with just draft capital if you pay enough. But I definitely look forward. I definitely look forward to the season, everything, all the matchups. It's going to be a crazy one. You against Parker, week 1 is going to be a nice matchup, even though you're going to win or get 200 pieced, like you said yesterday.
Hopefully, it's one or the other.
Yeah. But other than that, I mean, thank you for hopping in. I appreciate it. Also, you're definitely going to be joining in during the season. That's for sure. Because I would love for everyone
can't
to
wait.
also come in and talk about the matchups that are happening, give their predictions, kind of do that stuff. So, thank you.
It's gonna be so much fun.
Fuck yeah.
Thanks, Kamish. And let's watch some football tomorrow. Some NFL football.
NFL Hall of Fame game. Preseason number
Fucking
1.
go.
Steelers versus who?
Cowboys.
Cowboys.
No real quarterbacks, probably. Actually, Najee will probably play.
Yeah, I would see. I could
No
definitely see.
Zeke.
I could definitely see some rookies, but yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Hopefully, CD is safe.
Facts.
All right.
Well, thank you.
I'll let you end it.
Awesome. I'll see you later, Darren.
All right.
Thank you. Well, guys, now it's just me. This is definitely a different ending how it was the last couple episodes, but thank you all for tuning in. I really appreciate everyone that is going to be listening in to this episode and also who stopped by our Twitch. Right now, the name is twitch.tv/it's Lockwood ITZ and then LOCKWOOD, which may be changing soon depending on how this fantasy stuff takes off. Other than that, I really appreciate you guys listening, tuning in. We post on Twitter, we post on TikTok, we post on probably Instagram soon. We're on Twitch. We'll be posting these episodes on YouTube and hopefully on a podcast, getting that out somewhere. And we also are in the mix of making a website. Well, I am. That's fully automated, so you guys can watch basically all our websites. On the website, you could be watching all our matchups live as they're happening throughout the week if you get that invested with our group. I appreciate everyone, tuning in and supporting us. It means a lot, and that's really it. Thank you. And episode 4 should be on next week unless it happens this weekend. It, really never knows. Today happened because we have crazy trades. So as things happen in the league, we create episodes. So thank you for tuning in, and we look forward to you listening in on the next one.